obsessed with the McCanns, calling every day, turning up at the house, and they're an obsessed fan. Okay, that's one thing. But when you're a girl with a rich track record of wanting to find out who she is, and you have a result allegedly at 69.23%, there's two sets of parents here that need to step up and help Julia get those answers. And I just don't get it. I don't get how her parents haven't even stepped foot over here yet.
But again, I never mind the parents. It's the McCanns, because if you are the parent of a missing child and there could be the slightest possible, are you telling me, Ron? I mean, we already know that you have enough children to spell a word, but can you imagine if any of those children were missing, and you and any kid that shows up, and they said I could be, and you would take it just to be on the safe side, especially when clearly they just got a 108,000 pound injection for that. How much does the DNA cost?
Like like a really fancy one, let's say 400. Basic one, couple of hundred. Okay,
She
take your
can even
pick.
pay for it herself,
We can get multiple of them paid for. Like we can get, as soon as she's out, we can just go DNA crazy. Okay, we'll get
Can
one
she
done.
force legally? Okay, I have to ask you this. Can't she legally force through the courts and say, listen, I'm not asking for anything unreasonable, given my background, given that my parents are refusing to answer things, given that this has happened. I don't understand why the McCanns simply refuse to give a DNA sample and compare it to mine if they really have a missing child. Can't we force that through the courts?
They don't even have to give a sample. They gave samples. If your child is missing, at some point they're taking your DNA so they can test DNA if they find it without having to phone you up and ask you for it. I mean, I'm sure that if they haven't figured out that it's a good idea to have the DNA of the missing family on file, you should probably do that. Because it would just be a case of, okay, my DNA's on file, test them. I don't see how Julia doesn't deserve these answers 100,000,000%.
I wanted to talk to you about this, Ron, because this is something that has been bothering me for quite some time. They said that Julia was arrested when she landed at the airport.
Yeah.
So, first of all, was there an arrest warrant for her beforehand?
Well, there must have been, but here's the thing. Julia was here in February, and she went to the police station and said, is there any reason you would want to charge me? My name's Julia Wandelt. And she'd done that because of the phone call she got from Operation Grange saying that if she ever returned, she'd be arrested. And they said no. So this clearly must have been when she approached the McCanns in February, and then they've just clumped everything together.
Yeah, but don't they have to notify her? I mean, because I can tell you from Interpol, if there is something like that, I know that Poland is part of the Interpol treaty.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Interpol is part of a treaty. And Poland and the UK have a treaty in common. So the most regular thing would have been that the authorities in the United Kingdom get in touch with their Interpol, get in touch with the authorities in Poland, and they serve her something, like they go to her house and say, you know what, this is happening, you need to stop. But they didn't do that. What they wanted to do is to prevent her to come from the United, which means that they were tracking her movements without giving her the right, because they have to do that. If there is an arrest warrant issue for something like this, or a warning, as a citizen, she has a right to fight it off, especially and I know you're not part of the European Union, but you are part of the Interpol treaty. So they should have notified her.
Well,
that's the correct procedure. The police gets in touch with Poland, and then they notify her, and she has legal rights to fight it off and say, wait a minute, they're wrong. This is wrong, that what's happening. So she was denied that right.
Well, I mean, I don't know if Interpol will warn criminals, right?
No, but this is not, but she wasn't, no, there's a difference. She was not considered a criminal. She's innocent until proven guilty.
That's true. That's true.
That's a complaint. When somebody issues a complaint like that of harassment or stress, you can actually do it. I just had it done.
Oh, criminal charges, I should say. I shouldn't say.
No, but you see, in order, if they were launching criminal charges against her, she's still innocent until proven guilty. You know what I mean? And then she would have been served in Poland.
I tell you
because
what,
they
do
do this
you
through
know what?
Interpol.
Let's play a fun game of what's the obvious answer, okay? Because if your child's missing, you're going to test everyone, and especially if someone comes
Anybody.
forward and says, "Hey, I've got a 69% match." So if that's true, okay, what does that mean? That means that what? Julia is the sister or the blood relative of Jerry, the sister of Maddie, or whatever. I don't know. Okay. But all I know is I would just do the test and get it over and done with. At this point, the McCanns, I'm going to be, in fact, you know what? I need to put my camera on this. You would actually become heroes, okay, if you
The
gave this
thing is,
girl
I
the
don't
answer.
see them as heroes. They
No,
haven't been
they
heroes.
would be heroes for Julia, okay, if they give her the answers that she's asking, okay,
But I
if they
don't
can
think it's up to
eliminate
the
them,
McCanns. They have shown that they're not gonna do it. I think it should be up to the
100%.
police now and say, "Quit fudging
Mhm.
around, and actually, we're gonna just we have the DNA here and thing. Young lady, we're gonna use your DNA. We're gonna do this thing, and we're gonna get it out over with. We're gonna see if it's true or not. And, if it's not, then you really have to go, but here's the test. There's absolute proof you're not their kid. Just, and we wish you well. We hope you find your parents, but just get it over. So it's like they're allowing this saga to continue in order to keep the Madeline McCann thing to continue, because isn't it odd that as soon as Julia was arrested and this case
Yep.
came up, they suddenly got more cash to
Yeah,
investigate more?
it's very uh yeah, there we go. Yeah, I agree. It was very sus timing. Very, very sus timing. It was almost like we needed a big number in the headlines just to remind the UK people, just to remind us all just how active and still open this case is. You know what I'm saying? Because it just
No, but
seems,
it's really weird that they're doing this. Oh, and now we're getting more cash. I mean, they've investigated everybody except the parents. They were not even liable for child neglect, which anybody would have been.
yeah, we need to be very careful what we say about the McCanns, but you can say that. You can say that.
No, I mean, that is a fact. That is a
Oh, yeah,
crime
no,
in the
no,
United
that's what
Kingdom
I'm saying.
to
You
leave
can say that.
children under 13 years of age, unless the laws have changed in the United Kingdom. But I remember when I lived there from 2004 to 2008, 2006, sorry, 2003 to 2006, that you could not leave a child alone unattended at home under the age of 13. And if they
Oh,
found you, that was like a child endangerment and stuff like
do
that.
you remember, Paula, when, like, I remember going to the shops when I was like maybe 4 or 5, and women would leave their babies outside the shops in the pushchairs, just out there on the pavement. You would never think to do that now. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
And
know.
it's not 1980 freaking six. It's the modern world. And here's the thing, Paula. There was also a free daycare and evening babysitting service, right? So first of all, it seems a bit rude that you feel better off with no one than a professional Portuguese man or lady, whoever it would be. I imagine it would be a woman, looking after the kids, right? Or whatever the service is. Um, but and here's another thing. In this situation, the furthest you're going is maybe 6 foot past the balcony outside your apartment. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you would sit there as parents. I mean, we would all do that. But I'm not being funny, Paula. I have great memories of being in Spain and Portugal growing up with my mum and being out super late and, half falling asleep and all. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't super late. I'm sure I'm imagining it was super late because I was a kid, right? But there was always this essence of the family holiday where there was things where the parents could have a drink and there's like a live act on or something like that, or some like Beatles tribute band or some nonsense, right? But I remember that fondly. And as I became a younger teen, there was more things for me to do. You know what I'm saying? When you're like 11 or 12, you can start, playing pool and you know what you're doing and you can start keeping yourself amused. Um, but the thought of my mother leaving me alone anywhere, um,
Yeah, I'm
Nah.
sharing you something. I took Hendrik with me to Portugal. I'm sharing you pictures of
Yeah,
Hendrik
yeah.
and me in Portugal. I I mean, I planned everything around his schedule. Everything was planned around his schedule. I wouldn't go anywhere without him,
Right.
like, I mean, everywhere we went, that's beautiful, guys. It's beautiful, by the way,
Yeah, that's awesome.
everywhere we, that's a convent there. But everywhere we went, I wouldn't go anywhere without my kid. I mean,
Right.
we even have monitors in our own homes, even
Yeah.
though the child is in the next room, to because you don't want to leave them alone. Because and you're telling me that these people would leave a child like that?
Mm.
Ron, you know what I
It's
mean? It's like we have I mean, you have a child monitor, and the kid
yeah,
is
of
in the next
course.
room, and you still and you don't leave them
There's
alone.
literally that white box right
Yeah,
there.
and
That
these
white box
people
there is a child monitor.
and you know what I heard people say, "Oh, that was very middle class." That is BS, because I hate to say it, and I really don't wanna sound like a snob, but I was actually very
It's
fortunate.
definitely not middle class at all. At
And
all.
and
Maybe it's middle class when you activate the childminder. Okay, maybe it's middle class when
no, but
you're
I have never allowed to have nannies for my kid, never, 'cause the only people I trusted, and this is one thing I wanted to also say. If they Why did bring the children at all if they were not gonna look after them? Because these are people who clearly, for example, I could afford, but I would, Hendrik, I am very terrible. I'm very super protective of my kid. So I didn't even trust the nannies at the hotel or facilities, because you never know. So I much rather stay with my kid, I'd stay in, early. We'd go to bed early. I'd stay and watch TV with my kid, like I'd
okay,
tie
okay. Well,
him
how about
up.
let's remember, right? They were checking on the kids every 15 minutes, right?
No, no, you don't.
So let me play devil's advocate, right? Let me play on the side of the McCanns here, right? Like every fifth. I mean,
No,
I can't think of
no,
a way in my
no,
head for it
Ron.
to make sense. I really
No, no,
can't.
Ron, a tragedy happens in seconds. A tragedy happens
Right?
in seconds, especially with small children. Where if there had been a fire and the children didn't know how to get out of the
Right?
room because they're very small. You know what I mean? And it's like, and they knew that the kids were, because they even said that Madeline had woken up the night before, and the neighbors said that they could hear the little girl crying. So they knew that the kids were waking up. Why go out at all? And I've heard that it's very middle class. That is not
Yeah.
true. That is not true. That is not middle class. And I know this for a fact. Middle class, they leave them with a nanny. They don't leave the kids on their own. That's the middle class part of it. Not leaving your children on your own, but having a nanny with the kids, or having a nanny do most of the upbringing. But these were two successful doctors with cash that they could have afforded that, since they clearly didn't care that the kids were left on their own. Like, having a nanny stay there or use the hotel's nanny. So this is what I would, and I tell you, people think that it's very close by, but you actually have to. Can you use the arrow? And you have to actually literally walk around, guys. Walk
Oh
around
yeah.
the pool,
And
go
it's
all the way
that's
out.
yeah, but that's if you're sitting there, Paula.
Yeah.
That's assuming you're sat there or there. I mean, you could be way over here, you could be down here. And I mean, I'll be honest, it
And
just seems
by the
really,
way, I just want to point
really
something out.
crazy.
You couldn't just go across the pool and just jump over that fence, because you couldn't. It's really high. It's like a wall. So you needed to get out and go into the street. Okay?
Yeah,
At a
actually,
very fast paced walk, it's like 4 minutes. Fast, and 4 minutes walking, it's a lot for a child. So this is not like a back garden.
yeah, actually, what looks like doorways here is
No, but
actually
that's for the small of the
it's
street. It's
not.
for the other side
It's,
of the
yeah,
street.
that's not. I mean, that's a wall.
Yeah, that's a wall.
So those aren't little walk. Those look like you're walking along, you turn, you walk in, but that's not what that is.
No,
So
no,
let's
no.
just hang on a second, Paul. Let me pick apart this for a second.
If you zoom in higher. I'm going to show you something that people. This is what people don't understand. Zoom in. You're looking at the wrong wall.
Mm.
Zoom in. Much more. Go lower. You see that there's two walls. You see that there's one cover with like plants.
Oh yeah, here.
No, 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 no. See the chairs? See the chairs
Here,
on the other
these.
side of the pool. There is a wall that's covered with plants.
Yeah, I see that.
And then on the other side is the walls from the apartment. So you
Yeah.
have a wall. This is why they didn't have a view directly into the apartment, because there's a big wall.
I mean,
And
there's a big
the
wall,
apartment
and
was
there's
on the
another.
bottom,
I mean,
on the
there's a
ground
big
floor.
wall, Paula, and then there's another big wall.
Yes,
And
this
there's
is why they couldn't even see that anybody going in and out, because the apartment was on the ground floor. That has been proven. Sonia Polton did a great documentary about it. You can't see the thing, and she literally did the fast walk. She paced, like she really walked fast from
yeah,
where they were sitting, and it took her almost 4 minutes, really like at a really fast paced walk.
nah. I mean, if this is my apartment here, I mean, I would be okay to be sat out here and eat with everyone and have the kids in
Yeah,
there. That would be
exactly.
fine. But that is a little mad,
So
right? When
that
you
was very misleading when they said, "Oh, it's like being back." No, you couldn't see where your kids were, and if you had to walk, it was about 150 yards, because you had to get out, go around, and then walk up the street, and then turn to the corner of the apartment.
I mean, that is
And you know what's the funny part is that the people think that they could see it because you're looking from the top up. But if you were from the tapas bar, I don't know if you have a picture of the view from the tapas bar, sitting from the tapas bar, then you would only see like the second or third floor from where they were sitting.
yeah. Hang on, there we go. So the
That's
McCann's
still from
apartment.
above. That's still from above. You
Yeah,
still
yeah, yeah.
from
I'm
above.
just
So people,
no, no. I know that. So that's the apartment there. You can actually see two people out on the street just there, right? So if we go back to the previous image, that image that we just seen before is where this gets cut off. So basically, those people would have been standing like, I mean, I need to zoom out a little more. Like those people would have been standing about here. So if you've got to walk all the way down here and then round here and back into here, and you're saying that you had a, I mean, okay, yeah, you had a view of the apartment, barely. Like you could, if the apartment was, if it was or was not on fire, you could have told. If the blaze was at the windows, you could have seen that the apartment was on fire, sure. But
okay, I'm gonna show you this here,
this
Ron, so
is
you can see it better.
this
I'm gonna
is
show you a better
right.
view. I'm gonna show you a better view.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm agreeing with you, Paula. Also, I just want to say, everybody, in 10 minutes, I've got my next live stream, and it is with Rafa, elite law enforcement officer, 18 and a half years in some of the most insane organizations around the world. And I'm really excited to be speaking to him next. So you will get an opportunity to, you will get asked to get pushed across to that at the end of this.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Ron, so share this image that I'm showing right now. Show this image that I'm showing right now. You see that?
Mm,
That is actually the apartment. This is the street. So
yeah.
this is the wall. This is one of the walls
Yeah.
from there. So you actually had to go in here, and this is where you had the entrance here. This is a little bit covered up there. But you had you couldn't even see anybody going in and out. And this is the wall. So, and when you go from here down, it goes down towards where they were, because the street is going down. If you look at them, it's not going, you know what I mean? So the bar was further down.
Yeah. All right. Of course it was. Like
Okay.
if this
So
is, that's what
yeah,
I'm
so
saying.
this is what I want to say to people, that the bar was sunken in. So, and this is on the way up, and there was this wall. There's this little street where people could come in and out to go to other places. This is the entrance to the apartment.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is why I'm saying to you that that is impossible. It's not the same as being seeing her, that they couldn't. Oh, here we go. See, this is the Ocean Club. Here,
Yep.
see, you're going up. You're going up. This is when you're going up to the apartment. This is the road. So, guys, they had to get out of the pool area and then walk up about 100 yards to the thing, and then they couldn't see it because there were walls around it.
That is
And the
bang
street
on.
is going down. The street is going down, which means that the bar was sunken in because it's on a much lower thing. So this is why Sonia Polton did an amazing video and documentary, a two-part documentary, where she's actually sitting down from the tables, and from where she was, she could only see the third and a little bit of the second floor. because of course, and then you woke up. So on top of that, you have to walk up and keep in mind that these people were drinking, so they wouldn't have been in their most sober environment.
I'm with Yeah, it's crazy. The
And it's
situation, the more
insane
we
that
look
they don't
at
want to help this girl. It's insane to me as a
yeah,
parent
of course it
that
is.
they don't want to remove that doubt from their mind unless they know what happened to Madeline, and they just want to
So,
keep mocking it. Because I don't know why they would keep torturing this poor girl like
yeah,
this. To tell you
let's
the truth.
look past Madeline. What if it's what if the DNA is right that Julia got done? And what if it's right, but she's not Madeline? What the hell does that mean? This is what I mean. There's so many ifs, buts, and possibilities with this. But for me, the responsibility lies with Julia's parents. They should nip this in the bud. The McCanns should be putting pressure on Julia's parents to nip
Okay,
this
okay.
in
Let
the
me
bud.
give you an example. What if they're not their parents? So what is she gonna do? Excuse me. Then the thing is that the police has it in their hands. If they have the DNA, okay, young lady, let's do it. Let's roll. You know,
Right?
and that's it. Mystery solved. Go sort it out with your parents in Poland.
Right? Even if you don't even
Police
want to
in
help
Poland
Julia,
involved.
even if your angle is we're going to make this girl look like a fool, let's put the truth out there. Do it. Do it. She'd
I
be
just
happy
think
with
she
it.
was used to get more money. I just think she was used to get more money, and this is why they don't want to find an end to it.
I mean, there's nobody that's going to say that you're crazy for thinking that, Paula. You know what I'm saying? Because the timing of it all is fishy, continuous fishiness.
Did you ever read the book by the mother?
No, but I know that she talks about some things that will
But
get
no, it's like, oh, she was that her parts were so pretty.
right, right.
That's what she says. And guys, in the middle, the kid had just been kidnapped, according to her. And
Yeah,
then they met this expat. And the ex, she goes and described that it was the most exquisite mushroom risotto she's ever had. If my kid had been missing, and they refused to go with the volunteers to search for their own kid, I would have been paving those
right.
bloody streets. I wouldn't have slept. Do you think I would be discussing a risotto in a book 4 days after my kid was kidnapped?
Nah,
And it was paired with the best wine. You know that I mean, and they refused to go look for their kid. I wouldn't have slept. That is the worst thing that can happen to a parent, because you don't know, and you are engulfed thinking what happened to my kid and stuff like that. Henrik, for less than 20 seconds, we were in Richmond in London, and we were looking for Christmas trees, and the little bastard went and was hiding in between the trees. He was like 4 or 5, and I had him within a second, and suddenly I didn't see him, and he was playing peekaboo, hiding behind the Christmas trees. I just panicked. I started screaming and shouting, and then finally he came out, but it's the most horrifying for like few seconds of my life, thinking, where is my kid? Now, can
yeah,
you imagine?
yeah. It's
It's
it would
something.
it. I think all of us thank our lucky stars that we've never been through the harrowing ordeal of losing or a
Yeah.
child going missing. And all of us want the McCanns to get the answers that they deserve about their child. Let's be diplomatic here.
And I
Um,
just want to say something, because I've heard a lot of nasty things said about Julia.
okay.
Um, I find that people have lost humanity. Whether she may or may not be Madeline McCann, I think that what she's mostly looking for is who she is. I mean that, and to deny her a simple DNA test just to give her a peace of mind is inhumane. And for people to say, "Well, she's not Madeline," I okay, nobody's saying she is. But in her mind, and given everything that's going on, and given how shady the police has behaved and the McCanns, that
Yeah.
only reinforces in her mind and her soul that there must be something to it, because we're here talking about it. So for people to go and trash this poor young girl who's already been traumatized,
Yeah.
I find it inhumane in very, very many ways. And you guys know that I have a bad temper, so for me to
No,
say that says a lot,
no, I'm with you.
So Have
Yeah.
some pity, guys. Have some pity because this young lady has gone through a lot.
She has.
And whatever comments she made, nobody's claiming here she's Madeline McCann. She's in search of her identity and she thinks
Correct.
for the moment that she could be, especially given how shady it is and how much opposition there is for her to find the truth. That perks my ears up.
Yeah. Even the McCanns, you could show mercy and publicly eliminate Julia with a DNA test and help put her on the right track. But listen, that's us. I reached the end of our show. I'm live next with Rafa, like I say, Wall Street broker turned elite law enforcement officer. It's going to be a wild one. You will get a notification to kick you over. We'll be starting in just a couple of minutes. I'm just waiting on the guest arriving. And thank you all for being here. Close to just over 900 of you at one point on YouTube. So thank you all for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Paula, thank you for being here. We're going to be seeing more of you.
Oh, it's gorgeous for you and happy birthday, buddy. We have to do a drinking live.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We really have to get the gang back together and just do a
Hell
drinking live. That'd be like
Standard.
something that people we cannot have people who are clutching their pearls. It would
Yeah.
be like
All
a
right,
drink.
everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Paula, I need to jump